You are listening to the Horse Radio Network, part of the Equine Network family.
What a beautiful day for horses in the morning.
You are listening to the #1 horse podcast in the world. Here is your entertaining look at the horse world and the people in it.
Well, good Wednesday morning, everybody. I am Glenn the Geek in Ocala, Florida.
And I'm Jamie Jennings in Norman, Oklahoma. You're listening to Horses in the Morning on the Horse Radio Network for Wednesday, June 19th, episode 3457. Good morning, Horse World, and happy Juneteenth.
Ah, Wednesday, the day we cover Glenn's favorite topic, horse health. And Jamie makes you feel better about yourself with the latest weird news from around the world. Happy Wednesday.
Boy, we're going to be covering a lot of health news today, too. We're going to be talking about eye issues, when to call the vet. Also, we're going to be visiting with Chelsea, who's been on the show before, and she's a Mustang person, and there's a story behind her one Mustang that we're going to get a follow-up to. Plus, our State Line Tack Auditor review, product review, is Jaclyn Burke, who's going to review the ARC Equine Therapy System Kit. So we'll find out what that is. We're going to be starting some product reviews here going forward, thanks to State Line Tack. We used to do that. How many years ago was it that we were doing product reviews? Years. It's probably 6-7 years ago we had listeners doing product reviews. Well, it's back, and Jaclyn's the first one up. So this is the last Olympics with show jumping as part of pentathlon. You remember the last one, all the controversy with that German coach who was beating the horse up?
Yeah, like he punched a horse in the face? Or
yeah, right by the in-gate or something, if I remember right. It was at the Tokyo Games in 2020. Well, there's been a huge controversy since then about whether to keep show jumping as part of the pentathlon. And in November of 2021, leaked documents sent by the pentathlon executive board members claimed the sport wouldn't be selected for the 2028 Los Angeles Olympics if it didn't drop the riding discipline. Apparently,
what is it going to be, the quadathlon? Like, how does that work?
No, there have been a lot of suggestions, some of them very funny, about what to replace it with, and it is going to be replaced. And they had 61 different suggestions, ranging from cycling to proposals like drone racing or pillow fighting. So there's all these weird proposals for what should replace it. And eventually it was narrowed down to kind of like the Ninja Warrior obstacle course racing.
Okay.
So they're going to do like a Ninja Warrior obstacle course is what the fifth one's going to be. But pentathlon's been in since the Olympics started. I mean, it's been around forever. And
it is fairly embarrassing to watch these people. And I feel bad for the horses. Like, I would not offer up my trained show jumper jumping, I mean, they're jumping huge fences.
Yeah.
And these people are just falling. It is crazy.
Well, apparently they don't do any practice. This is the least favorite thing for the athletes, too. So they're like, I don't want to take time to learn. How long would it take to learn it? So I'm glad it's going away, really.
I don't like jumping that high. I've been riding my whole life.
So, yeah, that's what's happening. It's going to be in this year. So it's going to be in Paris. But then after that, no longer.
Oh, so sad.
I'm not sad about it.
Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday to you.
So Ashley puts the show notes together for us, and then in the morning I just get them all ready for the show. And under my daily Whinnie, where I usually do happy birthdays for auditors, she put, "Happy birthday, Ashley," and a picture of her very pregnant self with some kind of artwork in New Mexico where she lives. So happy birthday, Ashley.
Whether you like it or not, we're going to wish her happy birthday.
It made me laugh this morning when I opened it up, actually. Happy birthday to a bunch of other auditors, too. Peggy Riley, Heather Lindroth, Rita Brown, Lindsay Corsier, Carolyn O'Hare, and Jack Matt. Happy birthday to all of you. You all are, there are so many days we have no birthdays, and today there's a bunch of them. So happy birthday to you all.
Well, I love stories like this, and it has changed my shopping thrift stores because remember, it was a weird news story about, 6 months ago where a lady went into a Goodwill and saw this like really kind of like kitschy, weird vase and bought it and ended up selling it for like $100,000. So since then, I've been to the thrift store and I'll see like little figurines and they were selling these like figurines for $6.99 a piece. And they had like a name on the bottom. And so I'm with Lucas and I'm like, we're hunting for artifacts, and like, I find these things and I turn them over and I'm like, they have a name on them. So I Google it and they're for sale on eBay, Glenn. Guess how much they were going for on eBay?
$5.
They were $6.99 at the store.
Okay.
And they were going for $3.25 a piece. No buyers yet. So I didn't buy those. But I'm glad I looked because they were just these weird little things. But that is not the case for a lady in Maryland. Okay. So she went to a thrift store and she saw this vase and it was $3.99 and she buys this vase.
$3.99?
$3.99. And she's at the 2A thrift store in Clinton, Maryland, and just noticed it. And she's like, that looks like when I went to Mexico earlier this year, there was like some cool, it looks like a reproduction of this Mexican art that she saw. So she bought it and comes home and does some research. Turns out this actual vase was not a reproduction. It was a 2,000-year-old Mayan artifact. And yes, she has a vase that was she ended up contacting the Mexican embassy when she got home with it. And it turns out it's from AD 200 to 8,800.
Okay.
That's insane.
How did it get here?
I don't know. She doesn't know, but she ends up giving it to him because she was like, I wanted it out of my house because I have 3 little boys and I've been petrified this whole time. So she shifted back to its rightful owner and now it's going into a museum in Mexico for Mayan artifacts.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Hey, the U.S. dressage team has been selected officially for the Olympics. Anna Fiantini with her own 2010 Danish warm blood. See if you get a trend here with the horses. Anna Merrick, who's from Dunellen, actually not too far from where our new farm is. And her horse Firefly, which is a 2010 KWPN. Marcus Orlob, who's from Wellington, and his horse Jane, a 2010 Dutch Warmblood, and Endel Otts, who is from Wellington, and his horse is Zen Elites Bohemian.
I don't know if it's worse to hear you pronounce horse names, human names, or horse breeds.
I don't think I got any wrong today, actually. And then that's a 2010 Westphalian. See a trend there with the dressage horses? Also, Stefan Peters is the individual that is going to represent the U.S. too. So congratulations to all of them. And there's some new names over the last team. So we'll be watching new people out there in Paris. Well, returning to the show is Chelsea Gammon from Folly and Friends. And you guys are in Pennsylvania, right?
Correct.
So Chelsea was on before you, back in January, I believe, and we talked a little bit about what you guys do over at Folly and Friends. And at that time, if I remember right, it was just about that time a new horse was coming into your life. Can you kind of just retell that story for everybody?
So the day of our last call, actually, I got news that I'd gotten a second chance, or I guess rather third or fourth chance offer on a buckskin gelding from the BLM's online corral. His bidding had gone up exponentially into about 8,000.
Like 60,000 or 80,000 or something?
No, his was 8,000. And then I guess 2 or 3 different bidders had dropped out on him, and I got the offer for him, and hadn't announced it to anyone until our last talk. So then I went and picked him up in Ohio in the middle of March and brought him home. We had a bit of a slow start because everything was horribly muddy here. We couldn't really do a whole lot, but he's started now. We're getting him closer being ridden. He's a little sensitive of a guy, but we have him saddled and he's doing pretty well. So we'll see how he goes.
From what I saw from your post, though, he wasn't much into human interaction. Like, you're not going to run up and hug this guy.
Yeah, he's not a big guy on hugs. Now that he's touchable, I've been trying to get him to allow me to hug him, and he hates it. He'll let me put a saddle on him, he'll like brush him off, but you put the arms around the neck and he's like, I'd rather not.
You are a predator.
Yeah.
I remember that.
But
Wow.
he definitely is a little more sensitive than some of my draftier looking ones, but he is also the most athletic horse that I think I've ever had here, just in the way he moves and everything. So I think that sport horse blood in there somewhere kind of gives him that, but I can't wait to see what else that unlocks further down the road in his journey.
Was he right off the plains, or was he in pens, or what was the story?
He had been rounded up, I think, maybe 9 to 10 months before, and then was in the holding facility when we found him.
Now, you've worked with a lot of Mustangs. So you said he's a little sensitive, but, have you had to change your training with him at all?
For him, not as bad. There's some that are very, very tricky. I just have to make sure to be very calm in my body language with him. I know if I go down there and I've had a stressful day and I'm all riled up, as soon as I walk in that pen, he's just like, nope, I'm out. So you really have to be in control of your own energy that you're kind of putting out there. And as far as everything else, it's just taking it at the pace the horse needs it. I'd like to get him to the Mustang Champions Classic in Kentucky in September, but I think it's one of those things where I'm not gonna rush a horse just to get to a show. The journey doesn't end at a show. The journey ends at his lifetime here and being able to kind of promote Mustangs. So I want to do right by him with that. And he's a little particular about certain things. So you can be bolting things into a stall door, fixing it right in front of him, and he's not flinching, but he hates his feet being touched. Absolutely hates it. His front feet, that is. You can do anything with his back feet, but he hates his front feet being touched.
Every horse I've had have had back feet's been the issue.
He's a little quirky like that. So it's just kind of changing up things just to work around what he's more comfortable with now, and kind of just pushing the envelope a little bit, getting him used to everything that he needs to be used to at some point. But he's a pretty cool guy. I'm pretty excited to work with him.
So is he showing anything in particular that he really likes?
Right
Eating?
now, his favorite thing is food.
Yeah.
Food, and I picked up another little yearling actually when I was out in Ohio picking him up. There was a little buckskin yearling, and I looked, and I'd heard a rumor that there would be horses there from Folly's herd, which hadn't been gathered in 10 years. So I was like, what would be the chances that one would end up being from Folly's herd? Because I was not looking to bring home a second one too at the same time. And sure enough, I go in the office and I inquire, and sure enough, it's one from Folly's herd. So that little yearling came home too.
Elisa Wallace told me at the beginning of my Mustang journey, she said they're potato chips. And you can't have just one. So you totally fit right in, girl. That's what you do.
Yeah, I don't know many people with only one Mustang. It kind of snowballs from your first one.
So you had something that happened recently too, and a lot of our listeners have been following this, and we're hoping to get him on here in the next couple of weeks. There's this guy named Jake, and he has some Mustangs, and he's riding across the country and back. He's doing a total of 7,000 miles, and he's more than halfway now, and really just about the halfway mark, he stayed with you.
That's correct. They spent one night here on their way up to New Jersey, where they're going to rest up for a little bit before heading back across the country. And it was great having them here. The horses those Mustangs are such good souls. I mean, they'd have to be to cross the country like that and deal with all the traffic and everything else that a journey like that will throw at them. But yeah, they stayed here and settled in overnight wonderfully. And I was talking to Jake, and I was like, could you even imagine doing a journey like that on anything but a Mustang? And he shook his head and was like, yeah, wouldn't be possible. Maybe a well-minded mule or something, he said, but it really is something that you could really only do in a Mustang.
What's amazed me about his journey too, and by the way, we're always apprehensive. We've been doing this a long time, and we've seen so many people attempt this, and we've seen the people who got in trouble because their horses are, malnourished and look terrible. His horses look fantastic.
They do. He feeds them. And then also while they were here, I think people, now that he's on the East Coast and he can stay over with people, we can kind of also help him out with stuff like that too. So I made sure I had the nicest alfalfa I had out for him. But he really does take the time to take care of his horses. He fixed up some shoes while he was here on them before he headed out again.
He's a farrier, right? Isn't that?
Yes, yeah.
And he started with 3, and I think he did send the one back. I think the one.
Yeah, because I think that one wasn't keeping weight as well. It was older than the other ones, I think. And yeah, he definitely did the right thing and sent that one back, and it's doing great. So he's definitely takes care of his horses. They're in great shape, and
he does
pretty,
have a
pretty amazing what they're doing.
YouTube channel. What's his YouTube channel called again?
Year the Mustang.
Year the Mustang. And what's amazing about it is I've been also following his travels on Facebook, and it's amazing, the horse community. I mean, they'll, like you posted, he stayed here. Well, that led to the next person going, well, he can, he'll be about my place. He can stay here. I mean, just the community working together to make sure he has a place to stay every night was, especially on the East Coast, was amazing.
It was really cool to see. And I had first seen a post about it, and there were hundreds of comments with people saying he could stay there because he was supposed to be going a little further south, I think they thought. So I hadn't commented at that point just because it looked like he had so much help. And then I got a call from a writer at Mid-Atlantic Horse that had covered us and said, he was just here and he's planning on coming up that direction. Would you be able to stay? And I was like, of course. And yeah, because he was coming right through this direction. So.
And his Mustangs were like, at your place, they were like, we're home.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. I gave them their own separate pen and everything, of course, but mine were looking like, oh, hey, who are these ones?
Mom got new horses.
Yeah. They are kind of a welcoming committee. They all lined up at the fence, just like looking at them.
He must have this year, especially. I can't wait to hear his stories about weather. Oh my God. This has been the weirdest weather year, and he must have seen it all in his travels.
Yeah. Looking at his videos, it looks like he hit quite a lot of everything that the United States weather can throw at you, from snow to rain and everything in between.
And, I've known people we've covered several people who have done it one way. I don't know that we've covered anybody that's done it both ways.
I don't know of anyone who's done it both ways. I know the folks from Unbranded went from Mexico to Canada, and I know others have tried across the country, but yeah, to go there and back is definitely a big feat.
Yeah. Well, and I don't know any other horse that would have as tough a feat as the Mustangs to do this trip too.
I mean, yeah, that is a big one, because even his are shod, which is kind of essential because if he's riding on roads and things like that. But even to hold shoes on, most horses' feet wouldn't be able to keep shoes on like that across those kind of conditions.
And some of the others that we have covered along the way, feet have been the biggest issue. Abscess, just all different kind of foot problems have been a big problem. So good for him. I'm glad he's still going, and I'm glad he got to spend a night with you, and that the Mustangs got to hang out with their own kind.
Yep, I hope they're enjoying the nice beach right now in Jersey, even for this heat wave.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're hotter than we are, I think, in Florida right now.
Oh gosh.
So
it feels like it.
Welcome to Pennsylvania. All right, where can everybody find you?
So we are most active on Facebook, Folly and Friends Mustang Sanctuary. We also have an Instagram, Folly and Friends, or our website is follyandfriends.org.
This Horse Health Report is brought to you by Daily Dose Equine, non-GMO core nutrition for horses and ponies of all ages. I'd like to welcome back to this show Dr. Kristi Gran from Conley and Koontz Vet Hospital in Indiana. Good morning.
Hey, how are you doing?
Fantastic. Did we catch you at the beginning of a call or at the end of a call?
The end. We're just finishing. We just finished, so we're good.
Gotcha. Get that tech to clean everything up. You just do what you need to do.
Yep. No, she's good.
We had a listener, Rhonda, who messaged us, and I guess she's having some problems with it, or maybe she just wants to know about it, but it is a topic called immune-mediated keratitis. What the heck is that?
So I will preface this explanation with the fact that I am for sure not an ophthalmologist. When it comes to eyes, I am a general practitioner. But basically what it is the immune system has somehow decided that the surface of the eye is a problem. And so it starts to basically try to injure it. And what happens is we end up with kind of this like spiculated look on the surface of the eyeball. Looks like it might be an ulcer, but it's not really. It kind of creates this like, the ones I've seen have created this like granular look almost on the surface. And when you stain it, they get like pinpoint green spots all over the eyeball. I, again, am not an ophthalmologist, but the ones that I've seen, we've tried to manage with some steroids and some, basically 1, pain medication, and 2, medication to try to get the immune system to quit attacking the cornea. And most of them have responded really well. The ones that are really frustrating for me anyway are the ones that look like they should be a straightforward ulcer, and then they're not healing, and we end up with all of this other stuff around where that cornea or where that ulcer was, and then trying to treat it from the immune standpoint. Because the biggest problem is our ulcers are not treated the same way as we treat immune complex stuff. And in fact, what we use to treat immune problems can be detrimental to treating ulcers. So unfortunately, they go hand in hand clinically, but not hand in hand treatment wise.
So basically, like they always say, like, don't put a steroid in the horse's eye if there could potentially, if it hasn't been stained, then there could potentially be a corneal abrasion. But then you're saying that you treat this with the steroid. So yeah, that's difficult.
Yeah. So you got to make sure, and there's where, you don't want to just be throwing meds in without talking to your veterinarian or having the veterinarian look at it, because you want to make sure that you treat that ulcer. If there's an ulcer, you got to treat that first, and then you got to treat the immune complex part of it.
So it just goes down to the whole thing. Like horses now literally are trying to kill themselves. Like,
yes, absolutely. Yep.
Oh yep. God. So this goes to the topic of eyeballs in general. Like, to me, if I see something with the eye, it's 99% an emergency, but maybe I'm just a little overkill. What would constitute an emergency for an eyeball for you?
So for me, everything in the eye at least deserves a phone call, and at least to talk to the veterinarian and let them decide whether they truly think it's an emergency. This day and age, we can send pictures by text, by email, we can send videos, that kind of thing, which is really, really helpful. However, I don't condone a lot of that because it then boils down to kind of free advice deal, but it does help kind of triage, where do you go first, and do we need to see it today, or can it wait till tomorrow? It's the middle of the night. Does it actually need to be seen right now, or can it wait till tomorrow? But for me, every single eye thing is worthy of at least a phone call to the veterinarian. And 99, maybe a bit of a push, but I would say at least 80% of them are ones that we want to see within the next 24 hours. And part of that is that they can go downhill so fast. And sometimes, like with immune-mediated keratitis, a lot of them aren't truly what they just look like from the outside. There could be something else going on that is worse than what you think is the primary problem.
Really? Yeah. So like I have a pony here who, he just gets affected by the flies. And if you don't have a fly mask on him, his eyes get really weepy. That is not one of those 20% non-emergencies. But then, if you come up and all of a sudden they've got one eye closed, that's time to make a phone call.
Yeah. And also, I guess I should say that if it's a new problem, so you have a pony that has, weepy eyes every time someone harvests corn next door, right? And so that it's showing up exactly the same way. Your veterinarian has left you stuff to use when it happens and you're probably fine. But there's usually, like when I set up a client with medication to use in the future, there's always that statement of, if you have not seen improvement in, 24 to 48 hours, I need to look at this horse because it could be something different. But
yeah. Well, on that, if you could give me like a helpful tip, because this pony that I'm talking about, if he wears his fly mask, his eyes don't get weepy. But for some reason, in the world of horses keep trying to kill themselves, he removes it every day.
It off.
My pony too. It's a pony thing.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Leave it on.
True.
What is your problem? Yeah. So I remember I worked at a barn one time and I had a horse that constantly took off his fly mask and the farm worker came up and his English was his second language. And I was like, man, and he comes up with the horse in one hand and the fly mask in the other. And he hands me the lead rope of the horse and then hands me the fly mask. And he goes, you know what you need? You need nails.
I was going to ask if stapling it to their head is bad because I've thought about that.
No, not so much.
Yeah.
There's ones I think that attach to the halter, but then there's a matter of, do you leave a halter on outside? Do you not? Like that whole, there's a million different opinions about that. So I don't have a good answer for that, how to keep a fly mask on a horse.
Well, dude, this pony keeps I put the fly mask on and then the muzzle with the halter on over that. And we get everything. And for some reason he comes back with the muzzle on and the fly mask is gone.
Magic. Magic.
That poor pony, when you think about it though, he used to wear a muzzle and a fly mask. That just sucks when you're a pony.
And he wears fly boots too. Shut up.
Oh, it really sucks.
Oh, Dr. Gran, thank you so much for joining us and tell everybody where they can go to find you and any more information that they need.
So we are at Conley and Koontz Equine Hospital in Columbia City, Indiana. And our website, which is new and updated, which is awesome, is ckequinehospital.com. And then we're also on Facebook and I believe we're on Instagram, but I'm not in charge of that, so I'm not 100% sure.
We're too old for Instagram. I get it.
I'm too old for Instagram. Yes. Yep.
I say that all the time. Hey, go get to your next call. Thank you so much for giving us a few minutes.
Perfect. No problem. Have a good day.
All right. Bye-bye.
Do you pay her for that, Glenn? Because she doesn't give free advice. Give her some money.
She does give free advice, actually. So you're wrong. She does give free advice. She is great. She's one of my favorite doctors that we have on. I just love her.
Non-GMO whole food nutrition is the basis of the entire Daily Dose Equine program. We never forget that natural is better and simplicity is key. Our full line of specialty horse feeds is unique in the industry. We start with high-quality non-GMO grains that are flame roasted for safety and better digestibility. And then we add non-GMO alfalfa, timothy, peas, sunflower seeds, and flax. Your horse will enjoy unsurpassed balanced core nutrition with elevated levels of vitamins, zinc and copper, prebiotics, probiotics, and electrolytes in every mouthful. Find the perfect formulation for your horse at dailydoseequine.com. Select Daily Dose Equine formulations are available nationwide through Chewy.com and TractorSupply.com.
As horse owners, we spend a lot of time on the road. Let US Rider help keep you covered. Our equestrian motor plan offers fast, reliable, nationwide service from our highly trained roadside assistance team. 24/7 coverage for both you and your horse. Membership includes horse trailer servicing, towing, flat tire repair, even on dual wheels, battery assistance, and lockout service on any vehicle in your plan. We also have your equine companions covered with referrals for emergency vet services, farrier referrals, and emergency stabling assistance. Get peace of mind on the road for you and your horse. Join US Rider today.
And now it's time for the State Line Tack Auditor Product Review.
Well, now it's time for our State Line Tack listener product review. And Jaclyn Burke of Haviland Hills Equestrian up there in Maryland is first up. Jaclyn, thank you for agreeing to do this. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Now, it's not too hard to ask the auditors who wants free stuff, and then they get free stuff and have to review it. So that hasn't been a difficult process, actually.
No, I'm all about some free stuff.
Now, I sent this to you because you have a lot of horses. You're an eventing barn, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And you have a lot of boarders, you have a lot of horses, so I knew you would have some horses that have problems.
Occasionally.
Yeah.
More than I would like,
yes. Like
managing it all. Yeah.
But they sent you, and again, thanks to State Line Tack for coordinating all of this, they sent you the ARC Equine Therapy System Kit. Okay, what is it?
Yeah, so I mean, I am not a vet or a science person, but the way I understand it is a little device that you put on their leg,
and it works on like a microcurrent level to do like healing, right? So things that maybe you and I can't see, that it works like through their whole system to try and make those like micro repairs throughout the whole body.
So kind of
So it's
like
pretty
a
cool.
TENS machine?
It's, it's similar. Like I put it on myself because I have, it's not FDA approved, but people have used it on themselves. So I put it on. You can't feel it like a TENS machine, but it is working on more of like microcurrent level.
Gotcha.
But my back did feel better after using it, like the system a couple times. So probably about the size of like a TENS unit, right? You strap it to their leg and it's a 6-week program, right? So I used it on 2 different horses. So the first horse I used it on actually cut her fetlock pretty good and had this like kind of ongoing big puffy hind fetlock. She was getting like a little proud fleshy and stuff. And so we were trying to manage it. And so she also has had lots of other things, right? She's definitely my mare that kind of comes out like a mare, like stiff, sometimes tight through her back and her body. She actually had an old rib fracture. So we know that, she has some, I would say long-term effects, like on a muscular skeletal level from dealing with that. Mm-hmm. So she was the first horse I tried it on. And so you put the little device on and it's a 6-week program, right? And it's all in the manual in terms of how you use it. And it's pretty easy to use. There's like 2 buttons on it. And so you just kind of hold down what program you want. It straps to their leg. You put a little bit of like conduct gel to help, the microcurrent field, and you leave it on there, right? So it's great. You can put it on the leg, leave them in their stall. And it's a 3-hour program that you do ideally every day. And then as you move through the weeks, the intensity lowers, right?
So this is a commitment time-wise.
It was. Yeah, I would say that would be kind of the only thing I would say from like a management perspective. I'm really lucky because I have, a great group of girls who work for me. So every day we just kind of had like as part of the list that the horse would get the arc on either before or after their ride or work as part of kind of their routine, right? So we could do 2 horses a day. So I used it on the horse with the fetlock, and I actually noticed like quite a big difference after probably 2 weeks. I didn't have to have like the vet kind of re-derive that wound or anything. Like it actually healed on its own, which was pretty cool. So that was a great one to kind of use it on. And the other thing I noticed too is she definitely started to come out softer in her back and just more willing to work. And, we've tried a lot of different things on it. So I do think there was definitely, that was really the only thing we changed in her program. And that made a big difference.
Oh, cool. And the other one?
And yeah, so the other one was also a mare. And she, this is my competition horse. She had developed a lung infection actually while we were down in Aiken this year. And so we were dealing with some performance things, and we actually treated her with steroids and everything. So I thought she would be a good one to use it on as well, just because there was a lot going on internally that probably, we couldn't see. And, she is definitely back to herself and feeling really good. And now I kind of went through the 6-week program with both of those. And I didn't change anything else in their routine or their management, and did notice a difference in terms of like how their performance and how they were feeling and looking on like an everyday basis. And so I'm actually now trying it on like a couple other horses in the barn that don't necessarily have something like we're managing. But, the customer service folks from ARC actually reached out to me and gave me, I was able to ask them some questions about how best to use it, and which was really great. And so they kind of also recommend, for horses who maybe don't have a problem, but you may know about, like they do have, they're always kind of in this repair and like healing stage, even if we can't see it. And so she recommended like using it on those just for like more of like preventative. And so we're actually using it now on 2 geldings. We're going through the 6 week program, which they recommended. And then for all the horses, once they kind of go through that, they recommend using it, once or twice a week, just to kind of continue, to help speed along that healing process and anti-inflammatory process. So I think it's definitely a pretty cool tool now I have in my barn, whether I'm like outwardly managing something and or, just ongoing trying to help sport horses gain like every little bit of competitive edge and feeling good that we can.
So the one thing I'm confused about, so you said you put it on the leg. Is it, so a TENS machine, this is where it may differ greatly. A TENS machine, you kind of put the patches on, right, and you're targeting what's in between the patches. So you put it on the leg. Is it just doing the leg or is it doing the whole body?
It does the whole body.
See, there's a big difference right there. Yeah.
Yeah. Whole body. Obviously if you're managing something, right, whether it's a wound or a tendon or a muscle injury or, anything on that cellular level, I think that's where you're really trying to help the body there. And so it does help everything. The one thing too is you do want to rotate using it on different legs. So we had like a whiteboard, right? So I would write on the whiteboard, like, okay, Adara's getting the arc and this level on the right front and then the left front and then the right hind and the left hind, right? And the reason they say that is actually so that they don't get like skin scurf from the gel that's on there, since it's on there for about 3 hours, right? So some of that stuff can be a little abrasive to the skin, but it's actually not because you're trying to put it on different parts of the body. It's actually just so that you're not getting any of like the skin crud.
Gotcha. Well, this would be perfect for Jennifer's horse, Nigel, who's always got aches and pains. I think this might be the thing for, I know what her birthday's coming up. So,
Yeah. And I think
for just every day, it's like, that sounds great.
and like, I think I'm going to start using it on me a little bit more to kind of see, I think we all manage things. And I always think that like horses are a really good teller of if something's working or not because they can't talk, right? But I always like to kind of try this stuff on me too, and I think
not that it's recommended for that. I have to do the disclaimer.
Yeah, you gotta do the disclaimer, but yeah, try it out on yourself too.
And it's available at State Line Tack right now for $400, which seems like a lot, but when we were just talking the other day, Jamie, about the product that what were we talking about the other day? That was 10 grand.
Well,
so
I've been looking at PEMF units. Yeah. And it's like 10, 20 grand, so this is a good alternative.
Yeah. This is the affordable alternative for stuff like this. Well, I'm glad you had good luck with it.
Yeah, we have like lower end PEMF blanket. We don't have one of those fancy machines, Jamie. So I've been using this like in conjunction with that. And I think like as stuff kind of pops up and everything, whether it's for my personal horses or my students' horses, like, if they have a big nasty wound or you're dealing with a tendon or a bruise, like, why not, right? Like, put it on there.
Yeah,
make it
exactly.
So
exactly.
Obviously, do they have trouble keeping it on? Has that been a problem? So
it comes in this. Sorry if I didn't describe this better. So it's like you plug it in. It's like one little snap. It plugs in, and then it has like Velcro pieces on. There's 2 pieces, right? So it just Velcros to the like a wrap, right?
Okay.
Yeah, I only had one horse, quote, take it off one day. Other than that, it was really easy to do and manage.
All right, cool.
Yeah. Even to the point that one of the girls forgot about it and turned it out. Turned the horse out with it on, and it was still there.
There you go. Had extra help that day.
Exactly. So
ARC Equine Therapy System Kit is what it's called. We'll put a link to it in the show notes over to State Line Tack, and thank you for State Line Tack for providing the products for these product reviews. And where can people find your website?
Yeah, so I am at Hablyn, HABLYN, hills.com, or you can find us on Facebook or on Instagram as well. So check us out.
Jaclyn was one of the farms we stayed at on the road show. We had a great time, and we had so much fun. We had a big party there. That was a lot of fun staying at your place.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I'd like you guys to come back when I'm not 8 months pregnant. That would be great.
Was pretty pregnant.
Yeah, I don't want you pregnant when I come. We'll get in too much trouble.
Yeah, there's a lot of good wineries and breweries and horse shows.
I remember
it's a good spot.
We went out to dinner, and Poor Jaclyn couldn't drink it all. She was so.
No, and they're all ordering. Glenn's ordering his fruity drink.
Yeah.
And,
That's right.
everybody's participating but me.
Jamie, Maryland, where she's at, is the rolling hills, and it's so beautiful there. The horse farms there are so beautiful. It's a little different than like Kentucky, even because the hills are more rolling; they're steeper. But it's just beautiful. It's green as could be, and you have a beautiful place. She has a really nice cross country course too.
Sounds great. I'm in. I'm on my way. And I love Jaclyn. So we'll see you soon, girl.
Once again, you can find the ARC, that's ARC Equine Therapy System Kit at statelinetack.com. We will put a link to it in our show notes.
Time to learn why some days you're embarrassed to be part of the human race. In Jamie's Weird News.
Yes, and thank you everybody for sending in your weird news story. We've got 2 weeks worth, so I had to go through quite a bit of them this morning, but I would like to thank Rebecca, Amy, Janelle, Michelle, Jade, Debbie, Delia, Laureen, Jenny, Julia, Clark, Isabel, and Heather, all for sending me weird news stories. It makes me so happy, and I will be sprinkling them in through the shows up in the next week because they're just, I did one for my Daily Whinnie. There's just so many really great weird news stories you guys sent me. So if you are reading the news and you see a story and you're like, that is super weird, email it to me, jamie@horseradionetwork.com with weird news in the subject line, like all of these aforementioned people did. All right. You ready?
Ready.
Okay. So there's a place in, I think it's New Mexico. It's called Auburn. And there's a family, and they were heartbroken when their pet donkey 5 years ago disappeared. His name is Diesel, and I guess they were out trail riding.
By the way, that's the best donkey name ever.
They were out trail riding, and something spooked him, and he ran off, or he was a donkey, and he just ran off. So they searched on foot, on horseback, even by drone, and they could never find poor Diesel, and they just assumed he died. Like he gave up. They gave up searching for him. And this spring, 5 years later, somebody was out. I don't know what they were doing. They didn't say, but a man, it was hiking, not hunting, and saw a giant herd of elk that was in the wilderness. And the guy's like, picks up his phone and starts filming because there's a donkey with the herd of elk.
He made new friends.
He apparently was like, peace out. I'm out of here. I'm going to hang out with these elk. And apparently he has defended this herd. They have found dead coyotes and a injured mountain lion. And they are all saying it was Diesel who did all of it. And now he's protecting this herd of elk. I just thought that was so cool.
I hope they're leaving him there.
Well, here's the thing, Glenn.
Oh.
They said to catch him would be impossible.
Yeah,
He's
no
wild. Bye.
He has a new job. He has a job.
Yeah, they say he's 8 years old now and that he could live 30 to 40 years. So he's out. They said he's out there doing what he was raised to do. So they are going to leave Diesel out in the wild with his herd of elk. And I just thought that was a cool story.
How are we this lucky to get this one?
I know. We got our own protection donkey.
They have their own private security firm out there.
I love it.
I love
it.
That's great.
Well, people love to get in fights. It's just a thing. And of course, where do people like to get in fights the most?
Bars?
No. Can you guess
Roadhouse?
the state?
What?
Florida. Florida, all the weird stuff happens. There were so many. Usually I get a ton of Florida man stories. This time I got a ton of Florida woman stories.
Oh. Well, which reminds me, and I had you watch it last night. It's called, what is it? Chopper Cops?
Yes.
It's on Paramount Plus, and it's Chopper Cops, and it's a brand new series that's out. So. But it's about the Chopper Cops here in Marion County, Florida. And what surprised me in the 3 episodes we watched so far, by the way, it's really good. You should watch it. And we remember these stories. And one of those chases started the block we live in right now.
Nice.
Yeah, we were like, oh, that's right. That's our house.
Good neighborhood.
Yeah.
Way to go.
So, but I was surprised the number of women that were causing trouble in Florida. It wasn't all Florida men. There were plenty of women.
We have a couple Florida woman stories. And like I said, there were so many good ones that I only get to do 3 today. So we're going to start with Anne Marie Luna. She's 37. And she was arrested on Tuesday night after striking a man in the neck. She threw something at him and he called the police. And he is insisting on basically pressing charges, against this woman who assaulted him. Of course, there's no story on what he did to this woman to cause her to assault him with said object, but she was charged with misdemeanor battery, booked in the county jail, posted a $500 bond, and is back out in society. What is the item she assaulted him with, Glenn?
I don't want to know.
What is the item?
I don't want to know.
She struck him in the base of the neck, Glenn, with a cinnamon roll. And he
that's gotta hurt.
Charges. Turns out he was not injured in said attack. But yeah, I just love the headline is "Woman Arrested for Battering a Man with a Cinnamon Roll."
God, he is really mad at her.
He is mad, y'all.
God.
And our final weird news story of the day, we're going to head down to Tampa because a Florida woman was, I feel like she was a good Samaritan and she should be celebrated and not arrested. And you can see if you agree with me. So Kristi Turman, she's 37 years old, and she called the Lee County Sheriff's Office because she wanted to know that a car theft was going on. It was happening. Like, you need to come here because there is a car that is being stolen. And they drove up. The police went to the dealership that the car was being stolen at. And who was stealing the car? Kristi Turman.
She called herself in?
She was practicing stealing cars. She's being trained in a game of black ops to steal a car.
What?
But she called, it's like a video game or something? I don't know. She called the authorities to report the carjacking in an effort to just let them know so then it would become legal.
What?
That was her thought.
I'm just not following anything here.
Exactly. That's why it's weird news. This is what she said to the police. She called 911. She said, "What's your emergency?" "I'm calling because I'm trying to steal a car that's not legally mine. So y'all better come make a report because I'm reporting this right now."
Okay. I still don't get it.
No, there's sense because it doesn't make any sense.
Drugs are bad.
She reported herself stealing a car because she wanted the deputies to know, because she says then it's legal. Did you know you could steal a car, report yourself to police, and then the car becomes yours?
So if I shoot my neighbor, but I call the police, I'm okay? That's illegal?
As long as you call them before you shoot your neighbor, then you should be fine. Like, it's totally fine. Turns out, Glenn, I'm going to give you the spoiler. It's not legal, and she was been arrested.
Not even in Florida.
No. She was arrested and is also facing trespassing charges because she broke into the dealership to steal the car.
Man, you are one pathetic loser.
She deserved that one. I'm sorry.
I love that you're trying to make sense of it.
I thought there was a punchline, but there really wasn't. It was just...
She's just like, "Hey, y'all, I'm going to steal a car, but if I let you know, it's illegal." So
you know, next year they're going to have to do a second day for the Florida Man Olympics and have the Florida Woman Olympics.
I mean, you know, Olympic eventers compete in the same thing.
That's
so
true.
maybe we should have just like, open it up to the world.
Again, when you watch this show, you're going to go, that woman just shot at the cops.
Turns out it happens. Women are crazy too. Shocker. Newsflash.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. Where do they send their stories?
Jamie at horseradionetwork.com with weird news in the subject line.
We went a little long recording this today, so I'm sorry there won't be a post show, but hopefully we'll be back to that Friday. Actually, Friday, you're going to be away, right?
I am. I'm going to Flag Is Up in the morning. I'm heading tomorrow. I'll get there in the evening sometime to Flag Is Up for the movement. Yeah, the movement is this weekend in California, and it's going to be like 3 days of music and training horses and Mustangs, and they're going to show the movie, the documentary done about Monty. So it's going to be awesome. I'm so excited.
Jared Rogerson going too?
Jared will be there. He's doing the music on Friday night, and I think he leaves at 2 a.m. to then go to some other concert and
dedication.
Just like he did last year. Remember, he like just disappeared. Like
he deserted us.
Turns out he's like booked everywhere. So I'm glad he was able to work into the schedule to come again this year. It's just so fun.
I think that was my favorite part of the whole thing was that night. You know, it was a beautiful night, and he did the concert in the yard there.
And you pulled me up on stage and you sing with him.
Yes,
whether he liked it or not.
That's correct. I might have been drinking a little that night, but
yeah.
But it was fun. I remember that night. It was just perfect weather too. Yeah,
it's beautiful there. It was like a wine and cheese party. We had Jared singing, and then all day we had been training horses. Monty and I worked on some wild horses, and Joanna Lowe's from Wales. She is the coolest chick in the world, and she's flying in to help with the movement as well. So I don't have to be the first rider on horses. It's her job.
Very good. Well, and we will talk to you from there. You'll be on the show.
Yes, I'm gonna broadcast Friday morning from there. So I'll have Debbie on. Maybe we'll make her read some really bad ads.
Oh, cool. Yeah, in her finest Southern accent.
Southern Belle accent, y'all.
All right, everybody. We'll see you. Have a great day.
Hey, Neuter Gal. Bye.